letter to Pergamum, Jesus, in verse 14, confronts some of the believers there who were eating food sacrificed to idols. What is that? That's not a temptation for us, but it certainly was for the first century believers. And there are some lessons for us to learn as well. Now, to learn what is going on here, we need to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 8, where Paul teaches us in depth about food sacrificed to idols. We're going to take a look at that, and then we're going to attempt to pull a principle out that will help us today. Now, the first thing Paul does is he makes it clear that food sacrificed to idols is a disputable matter. It's a questionable practice. It's what we would call today a gray issue. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong, and this makes it complex and confusing. When I was teaching women in Russia, the question was, could I wear pants? Could I wear lipstick? Should Russian women, they are asking that question, do they wear jewelry? These are questions that relate to the culture and make a difference in the way that Jesus is perceived. The real question is, what does God want Christians to do in these kinds of situations? Now, to figure that out, we need to put ourselves in the place of an early Christian, and they were having a difficult time understanding whether or not they could eat this meat. If you bought meat from the market, you didn't know whether it was sacrificed to idols or not. And so the first question that you would be asking Paul would be, can I eat this meat in my home, in the privacy of my home, or do I have to become a vegetarian? To that question, Paul answers, yes, you can eat this meat, whether it's sacrificed to an idol or not. Now, the only stipulation would be if you have a guest in your home who's uncomfortable about eating this meat, then you need to be careful. But he writes to the Corinthians, he says, so then, about eating food sacrificed to idols, we know that an idol is nothing at all in the world, and there is no God but one. Food does not bring us near to God. We are no worse if we do not eat it, no better if we do. Well, you can just hear the permissive people, hooray, hooray, we're free to do what we want, but not so fast. There's a second question that they ask Paul. They say, well, okay, great. Now, can I eat this meat at parties in the temple? And to understand this question and the answer, we need to know something about the background. Community gatherings were held in the temple, in the pagan temples, birthday parties, banquets, weddings, and there the pagan priests would perform sacrifices at the gathering. The main course would be idol meat, and you would have to eat this meat or it would be a breach of etiquette. But the main problem was that during the ritual sacrifice, people would be worshiping pagan gods. So to participate, you would either be worshiping those pagan gods or you would be appearing to worship those pagan gods. And to that, Paul says, no, sorry, you just mustn't do that. Because although an idol is nothing, worshiping an idol is something. It's worshiping demons. Demons are not in the idol meat, but they're behind the worship of the idols. And God doesn't want us worshiping idols. He says in 1 Corinthians 10:19 through 21, do I mean that a sacrifice offered to an idol is anything, or that an idol is anything? No. But the sacrifices of pagans are offered to demons. You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons too. You can't have a part in both the Lord's table and the table of demons. And in addition, Paul says, you must consider whether or not what you're doing affects weaker Christians. Weaker Christians are those with a weak conscience about these issues. And he says, if I would cause my brother or my sister to stumble into sin, then I will never eat meat again. God cautions us to use wisdom and discretion as we interact in a pagan world, and we wonder what to do in these gray issues. What will we do? Well, I have a little phrase that guides me, and I hope maybe it will guide you as you make decisions related to gray issues. I think, when in doubt, live love out. When in doubt, do what is loving. Sometimes it's loving to partake, sometimes it's loving not to. That would have been Paul's counsel to the Christians at Pergamum, and that is his counsel to us. When you face a disputable matter, when in doubt, live love